Good morning, everybody. Welcome to 'Cause We Can Farm to Table. So it was brought to my attention from a friend of mine that came over to visit that I have not shown you guys the garden and how much it has grown. So today is July 23rd, I think. And this is our garden. We planted this clematis in honor of Kimmy's grandfather, and it has struggled quite a bit. There's actually two plants here. This one, as you can see, is really struggling, but we are getting some new growth, so that's super exciting. And this one just all of a sudden started going and bloomed, so that's really exciting for me. I did put in these 1-gallon jugs that I fill with water, and I poked a hole in the bottom of those, and that gives a slow drip to their watering system, and that has helped a huge amount. So the next thing that you see here, which is right in this row, are some Walla Walla onions, and this was kind of an experiment. I did not plant them deep enough, but my daughter-in-law gave me these little onion seeds, and I just wanted to plant some in the ground to see how they did, to compare them to the ones that I have in the actual bed. And these have not done bad, and trust me, they have gotten stepped on, the logs have been rolled on them, the hose has been pulled over them, so they've had a hard little life, but they're still doing and growing, so that's pretty cool. So this is our potato patch, and it goes from here all the way back there. And Kimmy and I, neither one of us have ever grown potatoes. These potato starts were given to us by our friend Jennifer. We just put them in the ground, covered them with some dirt and some mulch, and have not touched them at all. And they are doing amazing. So if you believe yourself to have a brown thumb, or a black thumb, I've heard people say, grow potatoes. They will definitely boost your confidence in the garden. We're going to start in this first bed right here, and as you can see, we have the rest of the onions, and boy, are they happy. In between the onions, I literally just threw carrot seeds, and they are growing the best I've ever had. I kind of have been a failure with carrots in the past. And then in this bed we also have beets and 2 tomato plants. This one actually was a broke off stem from one of my bigger plants, and I just took the stem and shoved it in the ground. I didn't put it in water, I didn't do anything. I just stuck it in the ground. It went through some shock, but now it seems to be growing. We do not have a long enough growing season for this to probably ever give us tomatoes, but it was an experiment, and so I did give it the corner of my bed. Now I don't have the heart to pull it out. Our other tomato plant was given to us by our friend Colleen, and it is a little bit of a wild child because I have not pruned it the way I normally prune and trellis tomatoes. I saw this system where basically if you allow yourself to have a few stems, you have multiple plants growing on one stem and can get a huge yield. So I was experimenting with this. We will probably get some tomatoes off of it. As you can see, we've got some little baby tomatoes right there. But we won't get a huge yield, and I won't do this again in a bed that has anything else. But I do think one of the other things that I probably will not do again is actually plant tomatoes in my beds. They will always be planted on the ground. It's a little harder for me to protect them, but they get so tall that actually would probably be better for them anyway. Okay, so this is our second bed. This bed has done the absolute best as far as retaining moisture. This bed has a bunch of the rabbit mulch that you can see. This was just all bedding that my rabbits lived in over the winter. And it has helped really maintain moisture. Plus we did the hugel culture in this bed, and I think that those logs are creating a place where the moisture actually wants to be. These were 3 that we had left over, onions, so I tucked them in there. The kale is just doing amazing. We have picked off this quite a few times, fed it to the rabbits, thrown it in our salads. Like when it gets this big, I just break it off and feed it to the rabbits. And then these smaller, softer ones are the ones that we'll actually harvest for us. As you can see, I have grasshoppers are going through right now. They're really, really bad. But this chive plant we got from our friend Kelly's mom, and it has done absolutely amazing. It never went through shock. You can see there's some grass in it. We just dropped it in here and off it went. So that's amazing. Here is another one of the tomato plants. These are all cherry tomato plants that we planted that were given to us by our friend Colleen. And look at that. We've got our first blush going on there. So that's exciting. This is my stevia plant, otherwise known as the sugar bush. It has done absolutely amazing. Here in this bed, I have harvested a few times off of this plant that I'm drying out. You can cut it just fresh and put it in your tea and it'll sweeten it. It's really nice. The side benefit to growing your own is it does not have that yucky aftertaste that store-bought has. These are the free strawberry plants that we were also given by Kelly's mama. And they just keep wanting to spread. I can't remember how many plants she gave us, but we're not getting a lot of fruit, but these guys are definitely spreading. I will be more diligent next year to cut off those runners immediately so that they cannot spread. I may let a couple plants go ahead and create the runners, but if they're producing runners, they're not producing fruit. The plant can only do so much, and that will stop you from getting fruit, and that's what's happened to us this year. But this bed will end up being a strawberry bed completely. This is my rosemary bush. I just cut a whole bunch of it off to dry out for this winter's use, but it has done really well here also in this bed. So there's actually a plant right there, right there, right there, and right there. These are all blackberry plants, and if you can see, last night this plant was big and bushy, and I'm pretty sure a bunny rabbit got in here and chomped down on it. That has been a big struggle for the raspberries and the blackberries. I'm gonna have to get some chicken wire to put around, excuse me, to put around the garden bed so that the bunnies that are running around, that are domesticated rabbits that have just gotten loose from our colony, so that they cannot get in here. We do also have chipmunks and squirrels, and now right now we're dealing with the grasshoppers. So you can only do so much, but those guys have wreaked havoc on my garden this year. Here in the center aisle, which as you can see has not grown very much. It is horrible clay soil. We'll be building some more beds here in this space for next year. This has oregano, cilantro, parsley, and thyme in this group. We do have some small plants of each. Like, look at that tiny dill. And this is an oregano patch right there. But this whole area has struggled pretty hard because of the rabbits. This is thyme, and then basil. And in this entire back area, I just threw some chive seeds from the flowers from Kelly's mom's chive plant. But we are definitely going to probably set in 2 more rows of raised beds for next season, or possibly plant our garlic there. So we may just do like a 4-inch raised bed and put our garlic down, cover it up, mulch it really well, and that center area will be for the garlic. But I really don't want the critters to get the garlic, so I absolutely have to get the chicken wire in before that. This is our other bed that's doing really, really well. Also has the hugelkultur. Did not put as much of the mulch in here, so this bed has struggled with getting drier. It does stay pretty damp. I watered last night, and you can see everything is still really damp. We will start out with another cherry tomato that our friend Colleen gave us. Not really sure what type they are, but I'm super excited for these guys to start blushing so that we can have some cherry tomatoes in our salad. So I've also thrown in more beets because I love beets. This was a volunteer onion, another little tiny bait that has struggled. We did the butter leaf lettuce, and I just dumped the whole packet in here, and that has done really well. This lettuce, crinkle leaf lettuce, I think is what it was, we've allowed to go to seed. So hopefully we'll have some volunteer. This bed is probably going to be our salad bar. So hopefully next year we'll have some volunteer lettuce from that. This is a pepper that Colleen has given us, and it most likely is the same as this one, but that one has struggled. These guys, which is a peach, it's a peach one. I can't remember what the actual name is, but I'll put it in here while we're during editing. And we have 2 of those, and they are doing amazing. This right here was another volunteer onion. You can see down there. It's got hollow tubes, which is neat. I feel like that's really cool. This is another pepper plant with a beet plant right next to it. It is time. I actually got some water on these guys, and they were not happy about it. I try to be real careful and just water at the base, but I messed up on that one. So there's a few beet plants in here. It really is time to start thinning these and pulling these out, so I'll probably do some of that. I'm using it more for mulch now. And then this tomato plant actually got eaten down by the goat, and so it is recovering from that. But starting to give us some fruit. So this is our last bed, and we just planted this. This is for fall gardening. My grandsons had helped me plant all these little seeds, so I'm excited for when they come back from vacation, visiting their other grandma, for them to see this. These are cucumbers, beans, and peas. I do have to get the trellises up for these, but they're doing great right here. And this section actually has our raspberry plants in it. So there's one here, 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 there, here, and here. The rabbits have also wreaked havoc on the raspberry plants. So I've got to get that up. Hopefully I was going to do individual spaces, but I think I'm just going to do the whole area. It's about $15 for a 50-foot roll of chicken wire, and I'm not really sure how big this space is, but I think I can do it for 4 rolls. Something that I have not planted, but is growing up here, and you know that we are doing more and more harvesting off the land, and this is St. John's wort. Right now I've been picking all the flowers, putting them in grapeseed oil, and creating a tincture that will help with that. We got some bees. So I'm not real sure what this is, but I'm going to be looking it up. I have a couple of these growing in here. I think it is very beneficial. Also this one, but I'm not real sure. So we've got to look at that. I do know that these are all just weeds. I can come in and cut them down. They're like a weed maple. But I have quite a few very beautiful St. John's wort. This is a wild lettuce, which is going to seed in some spaces. So we are leaving that, letting that happen. And this row is basically going to be our St. John's wort, our wild lettuce, and anything else that wants to pop up that is beneficial. So I want to highly recommend that you guys go over to my friend Kimmy's channel, Waking Up Country. She is talking about the medicinal benefits of these so-called weeds that we have, and I highly recommend for you to give them some space in, because you really can create your own medicine that can help you through the winter. And I know that I deal with SAD syndrome, so creating this tincture from St. John's wort is something that I think will help with that. But that is basically our garden. The only thing I haven't shown you is the blueberry plants. Let me go over and show you those. Something else that has shown up is this mullein plant. So I'm going to be harvesting these today and drying them out because it's good for a whole bunch of stuff also. So this bed has our blueberry plants. There's one here, 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 and here. The two newest ones that I planted have not done well. We did not get any fruit this year, but hopefully next year we'll get something. Pretty excited about these guys. I think that we have decided that this area back here will end up being our berry patch, but we will be transplanting our raspberries and blackberries in there. It was a sheep pen, and we will Fort Knox it up and then plant probably some fruit trees and some other berries, but creating from the duck pond all the way down here space for berries and fruit trees. The really cool thing about the duck pond, let me take you guys over there. So this duck pond we started last year. We purchased this swimming pool for us, and then the wasps kind of took over. And so it's really shaded up here, so you guys really can't see me. So this duck pond we started last year, and this year we were able to finish it up. And they have a great big space because we're wanting to let these girls hatch out eggs and be able to raise their own. And they have this big area. But the cool part is this is the beginning of our watering system. So as we clear out this pool, we'll basically run the water down here. It will water our berry patch and our orchard. We will be eventually planting some grapevines on these guys. Good morning, Chloe. Good morning. You rabbit hunting? We have another big area of St. John's wort, so we'll be spending this afternoon really picking those, or this morning. But then we have these huge IBC toads. They're blue just because they were stained. They came from, that's a food grade fungus repellent that I got these free from a farmer that obviously had to spray his crops. But this is my third year using them, and that's just stained. The product's no longer in there. We cleaned them as best as we could. But we haul all of our water in here, and so between, this is about 600 gallons, about 575 gallons of, actually, it's about 500 gallons. I think these are 250 gallon tanks of water here. We have 800 gallons of water up there. And that'll just be a massive watering a few times a year and let the ducks fertilize that. So between the duck fertilizer and the rabbit fertilizer, our gardens are doing really well this year. So thanks for hanging out. I hope you enjoy the garden tour. Now that we're in a season where we're probably going to be able to start harvesting some things, I'll definitely bring you along more often. Bye.